The next race weekend will feature a new qualifying format being tried ahead of the 2024 season. But don't worry, this isn't another sprint race. This might actually benefit the sport as Formula One strives for financial and environmental stability by lowering the number of tires required over a Grand Prix weekend. So, what exactly is the new qualifying structure? And how do the drivers feel about it? Let's have a look. For many fans, the highlight of the weekend is Formula One qualifying. Any driver can turn in a great lap in qualifying and either finish much higher than predicted or have a dreadful few laps and get knocked out much early than they should, changing their chances in the final race. As the quality of the cars improves and lap times average out, drivers are more likely to finish where they should. During qualifying, though, practically anything may happen in a single lap. Many supporters are concerned about any changes to qualifying procedures. This involves a revised format for the upcoming races as part of an effort to reduce the number of tires used. The amount of tire sets available to each driver for the weekend will be cut from 13 to 11, and qualifying will be handled differently. Currently, drivers are able to choose the tires they use in the 3 qualifying segments, but the compounds will be enforced at these 2 events. Drivers will be required to utilize hard tires in Q1, medium tires in Q2, and soft tires in Q3. If any of the sessions are designated wet, tire selection will be made available. So if Q1 must be run on intermediate tires, the track will dry out during the session. For Q2 and Q3, the drivers could use any compound they liked. For the duration of the trial, drivers will have access to 3 sets of hards, 4 sets of mediums, and 4 sets of softs. The drivers will have 6 sets of tires available for qualifying and 5 to alternate between practice and race. The second trial of this new qualifying format will most likely take place during the summer break, giving Pirelli and the teams time to assess whether the tests were successful and whether the structure can become the norm as early as 2024. So, what is the reason for the change, and how can it affect qualifying and races, as I mentioned earlier? To save money and the environment, Formula One is attempting to minimize the number of tires it uses. Teams can be released when 13 sets of dry tires are available over the weekend, as well as 4 sets of intermediate tires and 3 sets of wet tires if necessary. The teams will be allotted 2 less pairs of dry tires under the revised scheme. This is 8 tires less per driver per race, which means that in a 23-race season, the new regulations will consume 3,680 fewer tires. Those tires must also be brought to races. So you're not just reducing the amount of tires utilized, but also the amount of freight that the sport transports around the world. It isn't a significant enough adjustment to save the Earth from climate change, but all of the small things that Formula One does like this will make a financial difference in the sport's environmental impact. The cost of a set of Formula One tires is believed to be roughly $2,700. This means that each team will save $10,800 per race, or $248,400 per season. That's a lot of money that might go directly into the team's annual budget. While the impact on budgets and the environment is critical for teams, how will that change during a normal Formula One qualifying session? Teams will use a variety of tire sets. The faster you can drive, the fresher the rubber. Drivers will typically run through 2 sets of brand new soft tires during Q3, which they will then reuse during the race. The new qualifying system will not change anything, but it will assure that any club that does not make it to Q3 will have an edge over those in front. If you are eliminated in Q2, you will not have used any soft tires during qualifying. Therefore, you will most likely have 2 fresh tires for the race. Assuming you utilize 2 sets during free practice, which is very normal. If you are knocked out in Q1, you will have 2 fresh sets of medium tires and 2 fresh sets of soft tires to give you an advantage. Fresh tires are faster and last longer, which means you can theoretically pit less frequently than your competitors or lap faster over the same distance. In principle, this should help level the playing field by giving those who start outside the top 10 a leg up on those who start first. Will it be sufficient to generate a few short point finishes? We'll have to see what happens. It may also make qualifying more exciting. Some vehicles function better on one tire compound than another. The ability of a vehicle to heat up its tires could be much more crucial presently. If you require a few laps to get your hard tires working, you may miss out on the opportunity to put in a fast lap. Perhaps we'll see a few surprise Q1 exits in the next race. There will be some downsides as well. Typically, teams will utilize 2 sets of soft tires during practice and 2 different sets during qualifying. This could imply that the top 10 qualifying drivers all follow the same tire strategy during the race. If you don't have any fresh-off tires, you should avoid that compound and instead race on a one-stop medium to hard strategy. It's improbable that anyone will save a set of brand-new soft tires for the restart in order to gain an advantage over the rest of the field. As a result, the new qualifying structure may make race strategy even more one-dimensional than it already is. This has been a major issue with the racing this season, and this tweak may exacerbate the problem. We'll have to wait till Sunday to find out which way it goes. What do you believe will occur? Tell us in the comments. Perhaps your viewpoint is similar to that of the drivers in the first qualifying session of 2023. Several drivers were asked what they thought about the planned adjustments. It's the same for everyone. But I don't think we need to actually do these kinds of things in qualifying. I don't really see the benefit of it. It's better if we make sure that all the cars are close to each other and more competitive, instead of spicing things up in that way, which I think is probably for the show, said Max Verstappen. The fastest and slowest times in Q1 at the previous race in Miami were separated by 0.864 seconds. Lando Norris was eliminated in Q1 by 0.069 seconds, and Alex Albon was eliminated in Q2 by 0.231 seconds. The racing in qualifying couldn't be more intense. Perez, like his teammates, was unimpressed with the planned alteration. I just think it's for the show. I think we don't need that, he said after the Bahrain qualifying. When you see the qualifying we had today, how close everything was, you don't really need to change anything. We'll see once we try it, but I don't think there's a need to change something that is working well. Charles Leclerc added, I do feel there was a need for change for that, but let's try and see. Of course, changes to the Formula One format or cars are never popular with the drivers, so hearing their criticisms is unsurprising. We'll just have to wait and watch how the new qualifying standards affect things. This isn't the only tire-related modification coming up in the coming weeks. Following the FIA's approval of a proposal by tire supplier Pirelli to deploy a new construction, a new specification of slick Formula One tire will be utilized beginning with the British Grand Prix in July. Pirelli stated that the modification was necessary due to a considerable improvement in car performance in the first 5 Grand Prix of the 2023 Formula One season, compared to simulation data provided by the teams before to the season's commencement. Pirelli predicted that performance would improve much more throughout the course of the season. At last weekend's Miami Grand Prix, its head of motorsport, Mario Zola, emphasized the disparity in pole laps from 2022 to 2023. Despite only having one run in Q3, pole sitter Sergio Perez's time of 1 minute 26.84 seconds was nearly 2 seconds faster than a class lap of 1 minute. A year ago, the time was 28.79 seconds. Pirelli indicated that the new specification will contain materials that it plans to introduce in 2024 as evidence. The new tires will be available for teams to test as early as the Spanish Grand Prix practice sessions in Barcelona in early June, before their formal debut at Silverstone the following month. The new compounds should make the tires more wear-resistant. Pirelli may desire it, but I have a feeling the move will be detrimental to racing. Because of how little performance loss the current teams have experienced, teams are already choosing a one-stop strategy. This adjustment may limit teams' strategic options even further, something no one wants to happen. What do you think of the new qualifying format? Are you excited, or is this simply the FIA meddling with the sport once more? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching our video, and we hope to see you again soon.